Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baka podcast.
Baka.
It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to what's shaping up to be the most controversial mini-sode of Baka ever. We are normally an anime podcast. We watch an anime over 2 weeks. We come and talk about it like a book club. We discuss it. We spoil everything, and then we turn it over to the audience to save us. Every other week, though, we have a mini-sode where we do random topics. And while we are avid anime watchers, obviously with an anime every 2 weeks, we're also avid video game players. So when something happens in the video game community, it ripples through what I consider the Baka community as well. We talk about it just as much as plot twist in any anime we've seen. We are going to be talking about BlizzCon and what happened there, what's happening with Diablo, what's happening with phone games in general. We have a lot of thoughts on it. But before we get into it, let's go to the co-host. First off, we have the Pokemon to my go. Jeremy, how are you?
I'm actually looking forward to playing that game. The Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee.
It is not the right game.
That I know, but that's the only one I'd bother playing. The other one is just a microtransaction beast that everyone loves except me.
Do we start the arguing now? Are we doing this now? Save it. How are you doing? What are you up to?
I'm going back to school.
Yeah.
No, I'm actually really excited. I got some college stuff going on in January. About time, finally.
All right, let's meet our other co-host. He is the candy to my crush. Jason, how are you?
Yes. I was hoping to be jeweled, but
that's one word. It doesn't really work.
Oh, that's true. No, I've been doing pretty good, healing up from the sinus surgery. But also
he's much better this week.
Can you tell?
Much better. No, I still got the gauze going on, so it's not pretty.
They know we record minisodes and episodes back to back. We've revealed that information. They know.
Whoa! Why are you pulling the curtain up?
We've already said that many times in the past. They know you literally just got done talking about Tokyo Ghoul, and you're still a snot-filled guy.
It's actually blood clots mixed in with the snot. But anyway,
gross.
I'm really starting to love the image. Every time you talk and the image changes to that picture, the expression is so good.
Steam was having some sort of sale, and I picked up Dark Souls 2 and 3, and I feel like an abused spouse because I'm just like, no, Dark Souls, take me back. It was my fault. It is, and I can only pick it up for like 20 minutes at a time. But man, the gameplay is so good and so frustrating all at the same time.
You got to name your character Stockholm.
Right, gosh. And it's so funny too, because you'll run across these notes that are like, big boss battle ahead. You ready? And you're like, I've been playing for like 10 minutes straight since my last bonfire. If I go back to save my souls, I reset everything. So do I push ahead, or do I go back and level and have to do all this over again? And so yeah, it's been a blast, but it's also been it's not quite Bennett Foddy.
Oh god,
getting over it kind of frustration, yeah. But yeah, it's been fun.
The Dark Souls and Bloodborne and everything are some of the best material in funny game shots where they take clips and they just compile them from all these different best.
Oh yeah.
Clips. Oh god, there's such good ones from those games. Oh,
how about you, Troy?
Yeah, I haven't been doing too much. I got my first win in Call of Duty Blackout.
The immortal to our upcoming transactions.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be in there, aren't they?
Right.
Not much. I've checked out a few anime here and there. I'm kind of adrift in like a personal thing to watch. I've streamed almost everything I've wanted to stream, and I don't really have anything to watch. South Park has been great this season. I've been really enjoying South
God,
Park.
what is it? Their 57th season by this time.
I don't even care.
As long as they put out good content.
Anyway,
Are they still using the old berries jokes or whatever that was?
No, the member berries are gone. This year it's integrity. Got to have integrity.
Okay.
Anyway, we got a lot to say. So to bring everyone up to speed, if you're not a gamer, at the latest BlizzCon, which is where Blizzard, who is a subsidiary of Activision, throws their own convention for their games: Overwatch, Diablo, Heroes of the Storm, Warcraft, Hearthstone, and they announce stuff. And Blizzard takes forever to make games, so when they make an announcement, it's like, oh my god, they finally said something. There was rumors about. There's mixed results of how many rumors there were, but everyone was kind of excited for Diablo. There hasn't been anything new in Diablo for a while. They saved their Diablo announcement for last. They came out and said, we're making Diablo Immortals, the phone game. And the fan backlash has been severe, to say the least. And there's people who are defending it. There are people who are attacking it.
I'll defend it.
What?
You'll defend it?
Oh, okay. No, I meant.
Oh,
yeah, I got crossed there.
Okay.
I knew what you meant, Troy. Don't worry.
Okay. I meant people are defending, like, making a stuff. So we thought we'd throw our clearly qualified hats into the ring and share our opinion. I would like to take this time to remind anyone who wants to join in our discussion, because that's what Baka is all about, that we are a podcast about arguing and debating, but that we do it with respect to each other's opinions, and that at the end of the day, we walk away still friends. And I do expect that in our comments and stuff too. So if you come at us aggressively, you'll just be ignored. So that's your choice.
Well,
otherwise, feel free to join in.
Yeah. So anyways,
who wants to start us off?
Yeah, I'll just kind of set the scene for those that haven't seen it. They released there was a lot of hype that the new Diablo 4 was coming out, and Blizzard tried to temper that beforehand, and it had varying degrees of success. But the problem is that it felt, I think the community as a whole felt very patronized too with this release, and it just felt like another company trying to do another money grab. Because mobile games are notorious for this, make it cheap, make it quick, grab as much cash as you can from the whales and get out. And it feels predatory. So I think, Jeremy, you said you had more information, because I know that was kind of the initial reaction. Was they announced it, the crowd was not happy. The crowd asked some questions. They got very tone deaf responses, like, "Don't you guys have phones?"
Oh man,
that's been a meme going around like crazy.
No, and don't get me wrong too, because like I genuinely feel bad for the three representatives up there of Blizzard's on the stage, because it was very clear when they went out there that their job is to hype people up about whatever product is being peddled, right? And so to see that reaction from the fans, they did not expect it, and you could see that rippling across their faces, right? I've seen screenshots where people are like, look at how smug these expressions are, and I don't see smug on those faces. What I see is somebody with their brows furrowed in a shield form, but they're still smiling because they're like, my job's on the line. This is what my job is. And I've got it. And so like that moment of
the easy situation to handle no matter who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I understand where they made the mistake, and it's a genuine mistake of like, don't patronize your fans by saying, don't you have cell phones? It's like, here's the ultimatum. We're going to make whatever we're going to make, and you're going to take it. We know you have cell phones, so you're going to buy it. It's a really bad way to go, but they got defensive because of nervousness and shock and anxiety of the situation. So I genuinely feel bad for them as individuals, but Blizzard making the decision it did. I mean, I'm from the group of people that loved Diablo 2, barely played Diablo 1 just because I came at it too late. And wasn't too fond of Diablo 3. And so for me, even if it wasn't Diablo 4, which I've watched so many videos where people were trying to follow all the conspiracies about what Blizzard might be saying by their job hiring and by what projects they have going. And by even at BlizzCon, there was an area of the con floor where things were not really revealed about what was going to be there. It was like a hidden area where there was not even a note on the map that anything was going to take place there at all. And they're like, they've done this before. They had a secret area where they took the press in to show them the latest game that they were going to reveal, and they had secret play in there. So maybe this is where Diablo 4 or even a Diablo 2 remastered or a Diablo 1 remastered would be. And so the hype was real. And you've got to know that the PR representatives of Blizzard were paying attention to the hype. They're not completely blind to it. So it's such a disconnect for the company of Blizzard to not pay attention to those fans. And this is furthered by after BlizzCon took place, there was a press conference, and it was not North Korea. It was in Korea. It was in South Korea. And in this press conference, there was a different representative up there, along with one of the guys from the stage. And he actually says that, we have many projects going across all of our IPs, and we have many of our best developers on these projects. And then he mentions that they're all mobile.
Right. Blizzard's definitely confirmed that this isn't the only mobile thing they're working on.
Yeah. And then he says, but we haven't forgot our PC gamers. No, we haven't forgot you. We have multiple games going across all our IPs. But he doesn't say on PC. He just reiterates we have multiple games going across all our IPs. So honestly, there's no real commitment to anything being on PC in that statement. It's just simply a petting, kind of a soothing gesture. And so the fans were very frustrated with that. Also the fact that, like, when you compare this to, and Blizzard has come out and denied these charges, not really charges, but claimed that it's just a reskinning of something that the company that they hired to make this game. It's just a reskinning of one of their other games, because they have some Diablo clones basically for mobile. And of course, Blizzard has denied this, but it's a very strong claim. So that's very possible. And the investors have kind of pulled out quite a bit, because from what I was seeing from charts, from a video from Young Ye, which is a guy who does a lot of analyzing things that take place in the gaming culture, and how it affects finances and decisions and things like that. If I remember correctly, it looked like it went down like 20%. Stocks went down 20%, which that is ridiculous for such a short period of time.
Okay, so I think we've framed this way more than even we needed to, but well enough so everyone understands. But our discussion here is more about mobile gaming, about stuff like microtransaction, predatory business actions, and I mean, I think we can all agree a company that is having a major disconnect with their fan base and is a little tone deaf, especially in as someone who's probably on the more defensive side of this argument, I will 100% say Blizzard screwed the pooch on this. Why would you make this your final announcement? Why would you not just like make it a flippant thing? Like, oh, by the way, there's this phone game. Hey, guess what? Overwatch.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the fact that this is the last thing, and then it's like their first Q&A. It was a lot of ugly there. But we're talking about more than just Blizzard here. We are talking more about the phone stuff. So let's start with some throwing out opinions and see where we land.
Okay. I have one really quick one. So one of the things I've heard a lot is China is a huge burgeoning market that's just opening up into the mobile scene. Well, my opinion on that is hot take.
Which always works out well.
Yeah, always. I know I'm not going to regret this later. The Chinese government rates their citizens based on their performance and based on their behavior online, the things that they say, the amount of time that they play. They have actually put in some measures to control how much their citizens play video games. So considering the very known effect of microtransactions on mobile devices to be kind of a predatory gotcha to get as much money out of people as possible, the Chinese government, to me, seems like it's not beyond actually saying, this is not good for our citizens. We're going to limit or even outright ban it, especially if you take into account the fact that UK and I don't know if Australia is or not, but I know that there's a handful of governments that are already starting to consider going into legal action against loot boxes and other microtransactions that have predatory effects on people.
Especially anything gambling wise, loot boxes.
Yeah,
and we've had a discussion almost a year ago about loot boxes, and I know I agreed with you when we were talking about, like, especially in stuff where there's children, that needs to be rated. An adult can walk into a gambling den, that's a horror casino, and gamble, and that's one thing. But these are video games, and children can walk into them. And how do you keep children away from gambling stuff? So, I mean, that's definitely a factor in here.
Well, then the question becomes, how do you make that correlation legally, that video game equals gambling?
and that's what the courts are trying to do in like,
Right.
and they're succeeding.
So I wanted to get Troy's
Oh God.
quick word on it, because you said that you don't quite see the outrage that the rest of the gaming community seems to see.
Okay, so I had to be really careful about how I say this, because I don't want anyone to feel like you being angry at this is just, you don't deserve to have your anger. You don't get to have your anger. I don't want to say that at all. As someone who gets furious over the Transformers franchise, I have no right to say that to anybody.
Or someone not helping you in a COD game.
So super quick hot take: nobody should work for the China market. They have horrible taste in media because they hate Star Wars.
I love the China market.
Okay, so like I said, I think Blizzard messed up here, but there's a part of me that says it's their IP. They get to do what they want. And if it's a mobile game, that's what they should get to do. And when we were talking about Star Wars Battlefront, a big message I think that came out, I had heard, was that people should vote with their wallets. And honestly, that worked. Star Wars Battlefront went back, revamped their loot system, turned it into cosmetic only. And now even Call of Duty is afraid to touch loot boxes. Right now, we're kind of stuck with a pseudo loot box system where there's like, it's tiered like Fortnite, which has no loot boxes. Again, forward progress, I think. And so I think the voting with your wallet works. And so I think if Diablo Immortal is something that you think is stupid, and it probably will be, just don't download it. And I mean, like I said, look at the investors. They're already pulling out. That's going to send a big message to Blizzard, and they're going to have to change their decision. And this is coming from a guy who's like, hey, come online with us and argue. I don't really see the good of getting angry. And maybe it's just because of in the state the country's in, maybe I'm just done with anger in general. And like I said, I don't have any right to tell anyone not to be angry about stuff. But I can't get behind that. Also, not a Blizzard fanboy. I played a lot of Blizzard games, but I'm not super into their lore. Like, I've tried to put myself in other people's shoes and look at this from another direction. But every time I do, it's like, hey, Konami, they decided to make pachinko machines. They got rid of the great franchises they could have been building. Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania. I wasn't mad. Disappointed.
And I think I don't think you're disagreeing with anybody in the, maybe you don't have the anger, but I think when they announced the game, and then when they asked, hey, is this going to be PC at any point, or is it strictly mobile? I don't think those were boos of anger. I think those were boos of massive disappointment.
Yeah, they all wanted to play on their PC.
Not just that, but they've been so hungry for any Diablo new content they were going to be happy with a Diablo 1 or 2 remaster. You're talking about the exact same game with the exact same storyline, just remastered. They would have been happy with that. And I think you're right, Troy, that a company should be able to do whatever they want. It's their IP. Absolutely. I think when they make bad decisions, like I think this one is, and I would love to argue that the game is not a reskin, because I've seen the gameplay of both games, by the way. There's a strong case to be made that it is a reskin. But anyways, I agree with you that voting with your wallet is the best way to speak to these companies. The problem is that everyone in that floor, and I think Jeremy and I can agree that we want to see Blizzard succeed because they have done so well in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And to see them falter like this, and it's not just that they faltered in delivering a product, but it was delivering a product in a way that felt like they just wanted my money and not to tell me a great story like they have with every other game.
So when you say you want to see them succeed, don't you mean you want to see them succeed by your standards?
By the standards they've set for themselves by, past capability.
I'm not going to buy a video game unless it passes my standards. Absolutely.
Sure, but let's not forget they make $4 billion in revenue a year off of.
But what is that? What does that have to do with wanting them to meet my standards?
It doesn't, but it has to do with voting with your wallet.
Yeah, and that's why I don't buy Blizzard games anymore.
But you did mention, Troy, that you think that the investors pulling out is a step in the right direction to show them that, but would that have happened without the fan outrage?
Like, if they were making money hand over fist with this predatory activity.
Sometimes just making it clear that something, people are standing there with money in their hands begging you to produce something. You have a loyal fan base. And then when you come in, you're like, yeah, I know we've got you guys, and we trust that you'll still be there, wink, wink. And so then when the investors get to see that reaction and be like, wait a minute, you're not growing. And as a stock, if you're not growing, you're dying. We're out of here. Kind of, I think the anger has to be there before you have change.
Yeah, for the most part, I agree. I think there could be other factors too that them point out, like maybe the investors thought they were going to actually introduce Diablo 4, and maybe when they didn't, that was what they pulled them out. But I'm going to assume that the fan outrage is what's causing investors to pull out. So yes, I agree with that. It just seems the reaction is that like they came out and said, guys, we made Diablo 4 for phones only. and that I feel like is at almost the level of outrage we're seeing. Because if they had come out and had flippantly said, oh, by the way, there's also going to be a Diablo phone game, let's talk about Overwatch, would people still care this much?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think they would have. I think it has.
No, I do. I think it would have been different if it wasn't Overwatch. If it was, here's Diablo 4. By the way, here's our Diablo phone game. Yes, I think we would have had massive success across the board.
What do you mean? Like fans wouldn't have been as angry, right?
I don't think any fans would have been angry at all. I think we would have had the same response that we did with Fallout 4 and Fallout Shelter.
Oh, okay, so the problem is not that they made a phone game. The problem is that they didn't give you Diablo 4.
Right.
Well, no. The problem is actually put together by the Diablo 2 developer who got on and he wrote a very long series of Twitter posts talking about how things are different from when he worked at Diablo, and everybody there was a hardcore gamer. The devs, he basically said, if I had made a decision like this, the devs would have lined up outside my office and said, what are you doing? This is crazy. And what he argued that it shows, and I agree with him, is that Blizzard has changed. It's no longer nothing but hardcore gamers from top to bottom. And because of that, they've lost the connection with their fans, and they genuinely have a cognitive dissonance with what everybody wants them to produce. So they genuinely believe, they genuinely think that this mobile game, their fans are going to be happy with. And I think that's what the fans were mad about. Like, you're putting your resources toward this thing that you're so confident in, you're not listening to us. And then to prove that with the press confidence afterward, to be even more disconnected to what the fan base wants, didn't even get it when the fans are booing and screaming. It kind of shows that.
I can understand that, for sure. I guess
It's a lot like me in Star Wars.
Yeah, it kind of is, because like it feels almost like they're reaching out for a new set of fans.
Yes.
And is that not okay?
Oh, of course it's okay.
But as long as you don't leave behind the old fans, right?
No. You could leave behind the old fans. That's fine. The problem is that you're just going to alienate the old fans.
Right. I think you can do both. The question is, do you, it's kind of like with Fallout 76, right? I think Bethesda, they took a serious chance. They saw what was happening and were like, wait a minute. Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, we need videos and we need to put those up right now because this is not the response we want. I just got a bad feeling about this, right? And I think that there's a sort of goodwill that you need to maintain with a loyal fan base if you want to keep them. And if you're going to experiment with something like the multiplayer facet of Fallout 76, then experiment with it while you've got a bigger fish cooking to go to that loyal fan base, because you know you're going to get money from them.
Do you think Diablo 4 is not being built?
Oh, no, they've said it's being built. They've said that it's actually been through 2 iterations so far. But
Blizzard takes forever. I mean, it's just a truth of Blizzard. Look at, man, I can't tell you how long I waited for StarCraft 2, and I only got 1/3 of it.
I mean, I remember StarCraft Ghost was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got canned.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that if you don't have something ready, then don't surf on the fans' hype when you can see very easily, just by doing a cursory search on YouTube, what the fans are hyped about. You know they're hyped about Diablo 4. You know they're hyped about remakes of Diablo 1 and 2. Don't surf on that hype and then capstone your BlizzCon with a mobile game. That's such a slap in the face.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you, Jerry, is mostly it's almost presentation and expectation of this game where Blizzard messed up, not the game itself. And like, you know, part of this is talking about how bad phone games are, but you're okay if a company wants to, you know, there's obviously a market there. It'd be dumb for a company not to dip their toe into it, but don't come out and tell us, hey, by the way, we're a phone company now.
Right.
Don't come out and say we just make pachinko machines.
Yeah. Or if you are going to say that, then be fully and completely aware that you are slapping your current loyal fan base in the face.
I kind of look at it like this. Imagine if every Saturday you took your family to a specialty cupcake shop and you spent $5 to $10 every Saturday buying this cupcake because it's amazing. Every other month they bring out a new one that you get to try. You go down there with your family. They have this big sign up, the balloons out. You go inside. They're like, we are now going to be serving Little Caesars pizza.
Yeah. Where's my cupcake? Where's my cupcake?
Right. You're going to get new fans. Yeah, you're going to probably get a lot more business. Your current fan base is now completely disenfranchised.
Except for they're still going to have cupcakes. Diablo 4 is still coming.
Well, but here's the thing: is I think that if they really cared about assuaging fans' fears, right, and calming them down and soothing them and saying, hey, you know, don't worry, we've got something for you, they could just put together a crappy video of just like the title screen. I mean, we had that twice from Bethesda, and look at what it did.
Yeah.
You know, fans just went nuts about it.
I 100% agree. The presentation here is awful, and there's a huge disconnect between, like, they just need to say, guys, hardcore gamers, we got you. You know, it's here. Here it is. Here's Diablo 4 in a box or something.
So there's a lot that's not said with this presentation as well, and I think it's more of the meat of what this mini-sode was supposed to be. Was that the undertone of saying we have a mobile game is most likely it's going to be free or low cost, and then we're going to have a bunch of stuff you could buy in game for micro amounts of money.
Mm-hmm.
that has been shown to not only make tons and tons of money, but people on average hate it. And especially for hardcore Diablo fans that want to spend hours and hours on this game on their PC, playing for more than an hour on your phone sucks. Like, your phone is bite size. Like,
Yeah, you're not going to enjoy Diablo on a phone for very long.
right, and then all of a sudden you're going to come against a wall of some kind where you need some sort of magical currency that can't be traded in order to get this one thing that upgrades your other thing. And you can either grind for the next 15 hours to get it, or I could pay $3 to get a stack of it right now.
How are you not just describing Hearthstone to World of Warcraft players?
Because Hearthstone is a CCG to begin with.
There's not much difference between a CCG and a loot box system.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. But the problem is well, the difference is when you walk into Hearthstone, you know, oh, this is a money sink. Like, that is a niche.
People aren't going to know that with Diablo Immortal?
Oh, people are absolutely going to know it, and that's why people are pissed. Because it's not
Hearthstone. I'm trying to show there's a lot of similarities between what they did with Hearthstone that people are okay with. Microtransactions.
Hearthstone's a CCG. It's not an ARPG.
Hearthstone was a new project that didn't get in the way of World of Warcraft or Warcraft 3 or any of the other things that it's from.
Right, and like I said, we've gone over. I agree that the big thing is that people feel this is in the way. This shouldn't be the meat of what's going on. But now moving over to talking about phone games and how much hardcore gamers hate phone games. I see a lot of phone games on Steam. I see a lot of phone-like games on Steam. I see Hearthstone itself as a very it's a phone game, guys.
I don't know that hardcore gamers genuinely just outright across the board hate phone games or even hate all games just because they have microtransactions. I think it's when those things start invading something that they love and telling them that's the best way to play it or the only way to play it.
I mean, I understand that as someone who's been playing Call of Duty since the start, when the microtransactions showed up, not a fan. When the loot boxes showed up, not a fan.
But what if the next Call of Duty was on your phone only?
Yeah, you didn't get another one. There was no one said anything about the next one.
I played Call of Duty phone. I have.
Oh.
And how was it?
It was terrible. I deleted it. I don't care. There's still a Call of Duty to play on my computer.
Right.
Or on my thing.
But imagine if there wasn't a Call of Duty for the next 6 years, and then all of a sudden they release the new Call of Duty on phone only.
And they don't say a word about the next Call of Duty.
Again, presentation. I'm mad that I don't have a full Call of Duty. I'm not mad that there's a phone version of Call of Duty.
Are you mad that they think this phone Call of Duty is good enough to basically replace it and keep you satisfied in the meantime?
I don't think. See, that's where I don't agree. I don't think they see this as a replacement.
Okay, because I think the disconnect here is
I play phone games.
No. I think the disconnect is that
I'm a bad person.
I think phone games have the toilet, the bus,
right.
I lunch break at work. They don't let me play there, so I play.
Nice. Yeah, I just think that one of the disconnects between players and developers is, when you visualize a company, you visualize that they have so many resources, and when they said some of those resources they could have been spending on the thing you wanted them to release, and then they burned them on this thing that you're not going to download and you're not going to invest in, and now the investors are not going to invest in. What was that worth?
We're making some assumptions there, though, and I know that the CEO of Blizzard said we have our top men on this, but that's also PR talk. Ask them about any project they have going, and they're going to tell you we have our top men on this. Right. That's just what you say when you mention a project. You don't say no. We put our worst workers on this. Right. Don't worry, guys.
But wait a minute, though. What are you trying to say when you're like, "Hey, we put our best workers on our mobile games"? It means that you fundamentally didn't understand what people were upset about. because you think that by telling
That I
the
agree.
same group of people that, oh yeah, the mobile game, that thing that you were angry about, we got all our best people working on those.
Again, I 100% agree. Blizzard is completely
Disconnected.
I 100% agree with that. But to Jason's point, I don't think like Blizzard 4 is suffering for this. And if anything, the revenue from this mobile game probably goes into Diablo.
From this mobile game that they plan, Diablo Immortal? Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So if anything, Diablo Immortal might be good for Diablo 4 in the long run. So again, I'm agreeing that they presented this horribly. They should have said something about Diablo 4. It was really dumb not to. I think Diablo 4 is fine though, and if Diablo 4 comes out at next BlizzCon, I don't see how everything's always forgiven. And it's just because I look at Bethesda, what they did with Fallout and Fallout Shelter, and there's no outrage there.
No, not at all. In fact, the amount of Diablo 3 players streaming to Path of Exile right now is ridiculous. Like, the number of people that have subscribed to Path of Exile in the past 2 weeks is this huge influx.
But if we're okay with Fallout Shelter coming out with a Fallout game, then it wasn't the phone game we were mad about.
No, I was never mad about the phone game.
Right. Okay. No, you're right. You have said that. I'm just. It's such a thin line though, right? Because it's more like, oh my god, but why aren't you making Diablo 4?
Right.
And because I think a part of it is the Blizzard. We take 20 years to make a game. I mean, Overwatch is a game that didn't work, that they just took the remaining parts and cobbled something together.
Yep. It's like 2 or 3 different games.
Well, and I think, so kind of to put a cap on this as far as Blizzard is concerned for me, is I think this is a symptom of something that's gone wrong with a company that I've loved since I was a very young boy. Because we could see it with what happened with before they released Battle for Azeroth. We could see what's happened with the HOTS community and how it's just kind of died. And there's just no care there. We also saw the weird storyline, and the top director of the storytelling in World of Warcraft left. And now we're left with this cobbled mess that the fans hate. And now we've got this weird mobile game that when we wanted something else. I think it's symptoms of a bunch of people at the top that have never turned on a video game before, and they crunch numbers for a living. And they crunched the numbers, and they saw that mobile games and these kinds of decisions that they've been making make massive amounts of profit.
Revenue.
Oh, right.
There is a difference.
Yes, there is a difference. And I think due to that, like Jeremy said, there's no. It feels like there's no more avid gamers that make decisions in that company anymore, and because of that, why are you in the video game business?
To make money, purely to make money, but not because of passion or love. But this is where my initial statement about the Chinese market comes from, because that's what I keep hearing as, that's where they're going to get all their money. That's where they're going to get all their money. Because honestly, casual gaming is where the biggest, like Candy Crush and the other ones, like those are the biggest money makers. I was looking at some charts of which mobile games actually make the most money. And by far, the ones that your grandma will sit there and play are the ones that make the most money.
Yeah.
They're not Diablo, even though he says, we've toned it down. It's not going to have an M rating anymore. We're kicking all the maturity and gore and anything like that out of it. Well, once again, you're trying to find some way to reach towards this other audience that is willing to spend lots of money on casual games. But I just can't picture grandma playing Diablo. Maybe I'm wrong. I just can't picture grandma.
Not your general. I'm sure there's cameras that do, but yeah,
I'm sure there are. Yeah, but on the whole, like it's not. And then if you take that into account with the Chinese market, and if they actually do use predatory tactics, and it does become a problem because this is a new thing that's just starting in the Chinese market. If the government decides this is bad, it will crack down on it, just like it has with all of its records in the past. So
You know what's also another market that's going to be ripe for pickings with this is India, because there is a digital colonization happening with Facebook, YouTube, and some other companies that are looking to basically establish themselves first. Because in some parts of India and Asia, Facebook is synonymous with their word for news.
Oh God. No.
And so if you can get your ARPG on a device that is accessible to massive amounts of people, to those people first, you will be when someone says ARPG, they're going to synonymize it with Diablo.
Wow. Yeah. That's terrifying.
Anyways. Any last thoughts, guys?
I like phone games.
I hate them. I used to play them all the time, and I've removed them all except oh jeez, Plague Inc. That's right.
Plague Inc.
I love that game.
I tried a couple. I just can't. I can't stand it.
I love the zombie one because you get to infect the whole world and then you flip into zombie mode.
You know, I guess from my final word, I do hope we keep moving away from loot boxes. And from what I've seen in recent gaming trends, it does seem like the companies are scared of what governments are starting to say. I know U.S. congressmen are starting to actually look at these things, and companies are getting a little scared. There's definitely a reason there's a difference in Call of Duty this year, and why Fortnite didn't even bother with loot boxes. And if Activision Call of Duty says no more loot boxes, I'm hoping that passes on to Blizzard. Because they are one and the same. Again, I don't have a problem with Blizzard trying to make money. I do think they are disconnected from their major fan base. This is also a company that throws itself its own party every single year without any new games to talk about. I agree. I did want to say I agree with Jason's statement that there's something wrong at Blizzard. They do just seem to be having a problem. I don't even know if it's like greed has set in or so much as just the old guard has passed and they're just turning into a new company.
That's what I think.
I think there's also something that to be said about new gaming trends that hardcore gamers, I think, are going to have to learn to adjust to. That there is a casual gaming base out there that is also now going to have to be placated side by side with the hardcore bases. I think the grandmas need to have their games too. I think someone should be making them for their grandmas.
But probably not Diablo for grandma.
Yeah, probably not. But
well, you never know.
There might be a 35-year-old dad with 4 kids who doesn't have time or even a PC to play Diablo on and can finally relive his glory days in at least some way. But I do hope it's not super predatory and has a ton of loot boxes and stuff.
If you're not playing video games on PC, you might as well not play video games.
Honestly, I really hope that's not where this is all coming from. I don't think it is. I think you guys have made a lot of good points, and I do actually understand where a lot of the anger is coming from. Again, I just can't do it anymore.
I have an untapped, it never stops. But you know, the changing of the guard took place in BioWare, and we see what happened with Andromeda. It's the same thing. So, another thing, there have been some interesting aspects of the fan community responding in a way that really should be commended. When Rockstar released information that Red Dead Redemption 2, we're talking about Red Dead Redemption 2, Troy. You should play Red Dead Redemption 2, Troy. It's an awesome game. I've heard only amazing things about Red Dead Redemption 2.
I'm not disputing any of that. I just don't want to play it. Leave me alone.
Rockstar released that, you know, in anticipation of or rather to hype the anticipation everybody else had about Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out. They're like, hey, our guys are working 100-hour work weeks for this. It's great. It's going to be out soon. We're so happy to tell you about this. And everybody was like, wait, what? You what?
I thought
Don't do that.
I thought that was proven to be like an overstatement. Like they That wasn't fully accurate.
Probably a hyperbole, but like the thing that fans had such an issue with was that has been real in the past.
Mm-hmm.
In many cases, that crunch can be just debilitating, and often because of the way that the game development culture works, is they actually can dump those programmers after they're finished with them. I don't know that Rockstar does that specifically, but I know that's a common practice. And so,
Telltale.
Yeah, and so fans, even on Reddit, which some people expected that Reddit would actually be like, yeah, work them harder, which kind of surprised me. But no, Reddit was right there with everybody else saying, yeah, we want our game, absolutely, but don't do this. We'd rather take a delay than have you guys abuse your workers, know. And so fans are not unreasonable, and they want to see your company succeed in the long run. They want to see you keep producing, because you know what? The moment you stop succeeding, we stop getting that franchise. We stop getting that world, and we don't want that either. So another really weird thing that happened was the Blizzard's video for Diablo Immortal, their trailer, started getting so many dislikes, and people have a lot of video record of this now. The dislikes just start dropping, start disappearing. By like the tens of thousands, and bad cat, and and yet like the thumbs up, the likes stay the same, and the comments were being deleted, tons and tons of comments being deleted, and that's such narrative control. It's really, really a bad thing to see. You don't want to see videos have either the likes or the dislikes changed so manually like that.
Wait, can we control our likes and dislikes? Jason, can we do that? Can we? I know we can delete comments, and like I said, as long as everyone's polite, no matter what your opinion is, you're welcome to share.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Less is charities.
That's right.
I do think we do need to wrap up though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, a lot of good points, and I think this was good to talk out. Again, we welcome everyone to join in on our discussion. No matter what side you're on, just be respectful of each other, and everyone has their own opinion, and that's fine. We are currently watching in our anime time How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, and we will be talking about that next week. It's very ecchi, it's very comedy driven, and we hope you're enjoying it. We will be talking about that later, but if you want to talk about what we've been talking about this long mini-sode, feel free to leave a comment. You can send this to our Twitter at Baka Podcast. You can send it to our email, theanimebakaclub@gmail.com. We actually do get emails, so I know I don't say that too fast. You guys are really smart. Or leave a comment wherever you found this podcast, and we will get back to you. Thank you guys so much for listening to Three Bakas ramble about video games. I hope we will be back to more anime-related content soon, I promise. But this is in our hearts, and we need to talk about it. So let's say goodbye.
Thanks for listening.
Only $10 to unlock experience gains in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I'll buy it. Sayonara.